Life no balance at all. Monkey they walk, babu they chop. Oh, this life no balance at all. Somebody they hear the yarn, others toss the yarn. But this life no balance at all. Good evening, everyone. I am still Mazes, okay, and this is the 18th day of August 2021. You are here with me this evening, and this is Njenje Media TV. If you're seeing my face or if you're coming across this channel for the first time, you're here onto Njenje Media TV. Quickly this evening, as usual, we want to know where you're watching us from. Where are you watching us from? If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so by clicking on the subscribe button. If you have, kindly share this video, let others know what you are watching so they can join you, and we will all do justice to the conversation this evening. And I will quickly start without wasting much of your time because obviously I do understand that your time is my.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let us start now.
Okay, we are going to start now. I am beginning to be happiness more. I am beginning to be happiness more. I am beginning to happiness more.
Kai Benini, Megidani, but they welcome every one of us, make with a quam. If it a quam with a go, with a quam, with a go, where it wash me from? If they tell me where it wash me from, then I would like him.
Have I seen where you're watching me? Okay, people. Watching from Istanbul. That's Onoha Chinemerem is watching me from Istanbul. And I don't know. You're watching me from Istanbul. That's correct. So what we're going to do today, we're going to quickly start watching from Lagos and Nairobi, Lawrence. Wow, Lagos. How is Lagos today? Is it raining? Or is last month catching all of you as usual? Lagos, one of the worst places to drive. All your drivers are either drunk or they just finished drinking agbo and they've gone on the road after drinking agbo. They must do something on these Lagos drivers. They are just bunch of rascals driving. So, people, a lot is happening, a lot has happened, and a lot is still happening. Whoa, I have people now joining me from Spain, from the United Kingdom, the city of the Boris Johnsons, and the city of the Queen of England, Akaka. Akaka. So, people, oh, I have my people from Germany. Schönen guten Abend. That's E.L. Coley. Schönen guten Abend. I have people from Greece. Evans also. Wow. I'm watching from Jos. Coffee won't kill us. Ah, coffee no go kill una, please. Waiting. I am aware we've done a Zoom meeting on what is happening on Jos. We are aware that it is indeed a sad thing happening in Jos, but what can we do? We keep pushing. So, good evening, everyone. Good evening once more. Glorious Goodness is watching me from Anambra State. It's nice to know that even from my home state, people are watching. So, people from Spain, the Spanish people, Lagos, Istanbul. So, every one of you, just do me a favor, like the video, click the like button. How many of you have done that? Not many. Why? What did I do now? What did I do now? Just click the like button. Click it. Smash it. Smash it. But don't break your phone because if you break your phone, I won't buy it. I only use China phone. Okay. So I will start with an update for us. Before I go into the video or the first conversation, which is, I don't know if many of you have seen it, the Anglican priest that was seen kissing female students and very disgusting. People that can be his daughter. You know, you know, honestly, I don't know. Those children, I refer to them. I refer to them as children because that's what they are. They could be any of them could have been his daughter anyway, and he was doing it in that manner. But it's disgusting. Then we will look into bandits demanding 350 million ransom to have those that they've abducted, pay. And we'll eventually look also at the speech made by uh, Joe Biden regarding the incident in Afghanistan. Having said that, how come we only have three people liking the stream? What happened, people? What are we doing? So, Abros Fidelo, thank you for joining me, and you're from the United Kingdom. Now, before I start, I would want to give us an update regarding, for those of you who are interested in the Enugu International Airport. I saw comments where some people are saying that that's a fake news, and I laughed. I said, I wish there is a way to let you guys know 10% of efforts done at the back end to ensure that that airport came on stream. But thank God that the federal government has done all they now have to do. Enugu International Airport is officially, from today being the 18th, officially open. No but, no if. The airport is now officially open. And that is that is the cocoa, that is the deal now. The only thing that is left is for um, the airline to. I had a conversation with the airline today. Actually, I had a conversation with them, trying to find out when they would open, flights. Obviously, the airline told me that they have sent the NOTAM, that is the notice of operation. They've sent that official communication, which I believe are the community section on Njenje Media that was published, and I believe that was also published on the Njenje Media Facebook. So for many of you who follow us on these handles on Instagram as well, I think it was also published. Means that it is now official. They have given that mandate. So it doesn't mean that today flight will start coming. That means that today you have automatically, if you have a private jet, if Mazi had enough money now and say, I want to fly from London or from America to Enugu, yes, I can now land there if as long as I have the necessary clearance, which is normal to do so. What it now means is my conversation with the airline means they are now looking into when they will start selling tickets. And while that is happening, you know, a lot of effort is also geared into ensuring that a second airline comes in. And that second airline might be, guess, I'll leave that for you guys to guess in the comment section. There is another airline that is likely to come, but I leave that for you to guess. So that is the update. So for some of you saying that it is fake news that Enugu has not been approved or is not cleared for international flight, I think by now you guys should have known that this platform has nothing and absolutely nothing to do with anything fake or propaganda. It is a serious platform where only truth, is being dispensed here. So, people, having said that, we will have to continue. So, one good thing is that very soon, once it restarts, which I don't know when, we will begin to see, us flying directly to our place without necessarily stopping elsewhere, which had been a joy. But now that the runway is one of the best runway in the country, you know, one of the best runway in the country. Um, these were so what some of the pilots, at least two pilots, have confirmed that too. One of the best runways that they've landed in Nigeria. So we are making progress. Everything is not all gloom and doom. The world is not ending tomorrow in the southeast, and we all have not run away from here. Be that as it may, yes, things are not working. The way you and I have tested modernity elsewhere would have wanted it to work. Um, but I think the little we have, many of us, we're trying to do the best we can, bearing in mind the situation we find ourselves and where we are as it is today. So, having said that, people, I would want to quickly start my presentation. Watch live right away from Philipstein. Can we see the video of Enugu International Airport? Obviously, you're not paying enough attention. Go to my live stream last week, 2 weeks ago. You will see the videos there, or search here at Njenje Media. It's not my duty to to be showing individual videos, but we've done enough video on Enugu here that I've done a couple of live stream actually from Enugu, so I think we have more than enough video on Enugu International Airport to start with. Now, there are things you will see, not only as a father, but you begin to question some of the, you know, religious. You begin to wonder how can someone, in his right senses, condone this level of stuff happening anymore. I mean, I'll just answer this because he just asked this, but I'll have to repeat again for the umpteenth time. The federal government has approved international flights to land in Enugu. The airline, I don't want to repeat this answer again. The airline has to. As of now, the airline haven't said they are putting 1, 2 flights next week. There are other conditions. There are other things that needs to, obviously this route has been closed down for 2 years. So for 2 years, for them, is almost like starting a new route. For them, it is something that they need to now plan. But yes, early this morning, they have sent the official notice of reopening to the Ethiopian headquarters in Addis Ababa. At least from the conversation I had this morning with those in authorities within the airline in Nigeria today, I'm not saying someone had. I said what I had, the questions I asked. They confirmed to me one, they have received the notification. Two, they have forwarded this notification back to their head office in Addis Ababa. Three, they are waiting for Addis Ababa to now tell them this is the flight. Four, once this is done, they will start selling tickets. So we left the conversation with the following. The moment you have this approval in writing come back to you, please forward me a copy. So stay tuned and subscribe to Njenje Media. The moment that happens, be rest assured that we will be breaking that news as well to you, because as long as it's possible, what we want is a better society for every one of us, for all and sundry. So it's not for only me, for you, for me, for our children, for our generations yet to be here. Now, let's listen to this narrative and see what about this case that makes people angry.
College of Education in Ghana has gone viral. Now, in the video, the man is said to be an Anglican priest. He is seen at the altar giving the girls kisses on their lips, one after the other, while the crowd, the congregants, watched and screamed in excitement. Let's take a look at that.
Now, at this point, if you have your small child there, close their eyes. Let us pray. But I watched this and I am thinking, what was this man of dog? What did I say, man of dog? What was this man of dog thinking? For a second, what was he thinking? That even when these children were rejecting these advances on camera, and even adults, I don't know what has gone to the brains of Africa people. We need to wake up. Wake up. Religion is taking too much. Look, the last one here was the one that put the most resistance. She was the one that really resisted that nonsense. And you think, I do not know what they were told. If they kissed, Corona will go. Jesus Christ.
Meanwhile, the Anglican Communion in Ghana has sacked the Reverend Father Balthazar Obeng. Now, the church, in a statement issued earlier, noted that efforts are being made to engage the students through counseling sessions to avert any psychological issues that may arise as a result of the viral video. Now, when I saw this video yesterday, I was trying to really understand what was going on here, especially the third girl who walked to the priest, if you saw the video. Now, she still had her mask on. Clearly, she had seen two other girls be kissed before her, but she still goes their mask on, hoping that this guy would just stay away from me. And then he tells her, in a very, take that mask off, like take it off. And then he plants a kiss. You can see her neck bending.
I mean, just kissing, Jesus Christ, you don't even know if people brush their teeth. You just kissing these guys. I just pray and hope that it's not enough to just sack him. I believe they should take action.
He's equally bending her neck. And I'm like, what in the world is this? What is he trying? It's just completely disgusting. I think he should just not be fired. Certainly more needs to be done.
I completely agree. I think charges should be pressed because that is sexual assault. It is quite clear. You're right to point to that third girl. It is quite clear that she was resisting. She was pulling away. He was forcing himself on her. He should be prosecuted. And if she's too young, I'm not sure how old these young women are. If she's too young to press charges, I hope her parents do the needful. A stronger message needs to be sent that this kind of behavior is completely unacceptable. It's what we were talking about the other day, isn't it, Kachi, about that memo from University of Calabar. Memos are all very well and good, but as a society in our African culture, we tend to just stop at talking to people, reprimanding people. We don't treat crime as a crime. People do need to actually serve a proper sentence for this kind of egregious behavior at the pulpit or anywhere else. And I also am so dismayed by the people cheering, the cheering audience. And we've seen that too often, I feel. When somebody at the pulpit says or does something completely shocking, completely unacceptable, and people are cheering, is it that they have no sort of reasoning faculties and cannot see that this is clearly wrong? They're encouraging this kind of behavior like sheep.
Wow. It's not only in the church, even in the political arena. We once saw Bola Tinubu giving a speech, and I think he was supposed to mean that 33 million or 300,000 youths could be given job by either cleaning or whatever. And he talked about, I think, 30 million. And all the whole idiots sitting down there, everybody was clapping. until people started querying. I mean, come on, this thing didn't make sense. So question is, why were they clapping? Have an issue. It reminded me of when somebody was campaigning. He came to over and said,
I will make 1 naira equal $1. $1.
and everybody cheered up. Everybody cheered up. And no one actually flagged up at that moment to say, hey, what was going to happen? Christianity, are you seeing the linkage? Now, equally at that point, there are many things that we know in this society that has gone wrong. There are many things that we know that has gone wrong. And you keep wondering and you keep asking yourself, how did we even get here? And that this guy knows, obviously, the camera is there and he's still doing this manner of rubbish. Let's even hear from Ruben.
Happening within the Pentecostal religious establishment in Africa today. Okay, this is a pastor kissing women freely, even, at least in one instance, against the will of the person. But you have many of these people who, because of the failure of governance in African countries, now look up to human beings as God. Many of these persons, they call general overseers, they become daddies to people, even when there is no DNA connection. A wife at home who has absolutely no respect for her husband will go to church. She will be kneeling down for daddy. She will be calling other people mommy. But meanwhile, when she gets home, she becomes a different person.
She becomes a Margaret Thatcher in the house, and Oga cannot even nothing. She would go to Zaza room and she would turn off the fire. But when she sees, she will be greeting Zazi. Zazi, may the Lord bless you. May the Lord bless you. And you'll be hearing all manner of rubbish.
She becomes very assertive. But the moment she goes to church, carries a small Bible, her behavior immediately is transformed, into something else. This is where the problem is. People have turned human beings into God. And some of these pastors, this is one isolated case. Look, there are other examples. I've seen videos of pastors who even teach female members. They don't teach the men. No. Passages from Kama Sutra.
This sexologist in Dr. Abati is coming out. The Anglican Reverend priest has provoked Abati now that he's going to give you sexual lectures.
I don't know whether you have seen Kama Sutra. Kama Sutra is a book about sexual positions. Now, I don't know where that is in a section of the Bible, but that's what some of these Pentecostal pastors, teach in church. And so this one is just kissing. Kissing, a form of greeting in some cultures. This is not the ultimate offense. The ones you want to look at is the invasion of the church by pages from Kama Sutra. So this is the problem.
Abati and Kama Sutra, I don't know what both of you have in common.
Night vigils to single women. Look, there is corruption in the church. And I think that the relevant organizations should address it. The church cannot become a vehicle for moral decadence. That's what we have been seeing, not just in Ghana or Kenya or Nigeria. That's what we're seeing in many parts of the world. But caveat emptor, buyer beware. All those people who go and kneel down before pastors and call daddy, and they are told that a special anointing will be passed to them by kissing them, by touching them, by embracing them. They should beware.
Oh, there, Abati. I once had a story of a friend who was what's it called, the fruit of the womb, who was looking for the fruit of the womb or whatever. If you hear stories, what she went through the hands of fasters, man, you pity women. And especially, I mean, it appears women are more abused in this sense. What these pastors do, you wonder. How on earth would anyone ever even call them by that name? by the things that they do. No, I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying that all of them do, but it appears that a greater number of them engage in what is not good for the ears.
Two things. That's why I don't like the caveat, touch not my anointed and do my prophet no harm.
Oh, my dear, I go touch you. I go even remove your sokoto. It's not about touch. This one, I know be only touch, I go touch you. I go remove your, so even I go remove your cap, knock your head.
I think that's the beginning of the problem. I think if you want to lead others, you must be subject to correction yourself. And it is sad that the house of the God has become this. That's worse than the sin from Big Brother Africa or Nigeria. It is sad. The other week, you brought a story about somebody leading the congregation in a gospel, not in a gospel song, in a secular song. And they justified it. Now, is this bishop kissing in the church? Women against their will, abusing them, while the crowd urges them on, because they have told the same crowd that he's a man of God. Like, we all are men of the devil, or we don't know God.
No.
This can't continue in the house of God. The church must rise up and the church must stand tall. This cannot continue. The Bible says the love of Christ constraineth us. The love of Christ.
Preach on. Preach on. Reverend Father Rufai, preach on. The love of Christ constraineth all things. I tell you. Preach on. In fact, it's offering time. Let me pay my tithe to my good brother there in the studio. I pay my tithe to you. So you have to preach on, isn't it?
Christ constraineth us. So where is the love for God in all of this that can constrain these pastors to do what is right, to do what is morally right? Where is the love of Christ constraining these pastors from abusing women in the church, from hurting them, from taking another man's wife? Where is the love of Christ in all of this? The Bible explicitly states that we'll have battles between the flesh and the body. I mean, the flesh and the spirit. But as Christians, we should be people that lean towards the spirit and look at what Christ says in all of this. But the church is failing one time too many. I mean, the flesh will come in, but the people too should remember that the love of Christ should constrain us when this happens. And the church authority should rise up. And the body of Christ should rise up. We can't keep having stories where the church accepts very, very bad acts.
Well, about Rufai here. Honestly, if they want to do nothing, I think it behoves on the state itself as the protector of the people to intervene and do the right thing. So honestly, on that one, I have no, nothing, because you move from that story. For instance, you move from another story that is about selling what is called anointing oil or whatever it's called.
In the church to do, then why don't taxes follow? In fact, in a very popular taxation case, Reverend Shodipo versus FBIR, the court found that the church was being used for business purposes and as a result should be taxed. So the big question is, should this Kenyan pastor be taxed? Anyway, FBIR is now FIRS. A Kenyan pastor and founder of Bishop Climate Ministries. This particular pastor, who goes by the name Irungu Wiseman, he has now been found wanting as a result of the fact that he's been accused of selling plague protection kits for £91 as a cure for COVID-19. Now, Bishop Climate Wiseman is charged with fraud and unfair trading offenses after allegedly offering the package, which contained a small bottle of oil and a piece of red yarn, as a plague protection kit. Now, the 46-year-old is said to have marketed the mixture of cedarwood and hyssop with claims it could be used to treat, prevent, protect against, or cure coronavirus. The claims are also said to have been made in person, online, in instructional videos, and through testimonial videos as well. Looks like it doesn't only happen here, it happens elsewhere as well.
Well, of course it does. Dr. Abati, you were talking about religion being the opium or opiate of the masses or the people, depending on what quote you prefer, by Karl Marx. But Karl Marx himself, if he had a bit of religion in his life, things would have turned out a lot better for him. There's nothing wrong with people's faith and people, yes, frankly, people relying on a higher power. The issue is abuse. And this Kenyan pastor should be ashamed of himself.
Exactly.
Hyssop and cedarwood are referred to in the Bible to sort of use to purify oneself after being in contact with a leper, what have you. There's no link hyssop and cedarwood and any viral disease in the Bible. Where did he get that? And the red yarn, I mean, the only scarlet thread I can think of is not literally.
Well, I think the bottom line here remains: if the states in Kenya is allowing him to, it's allowing him to basically leave all this nonsense and go away with whatever he has actually taken from the people. But if that is not the case, obviously, for me, I would basically just do him some, give him some, Germans would say, klatschen. So give him a slap. But now let's not dwell much on this particular video. I would go to the next video, which is on what is happening, in parts of Nigeria where people are being kidnapped and ransoms are being demanded, that people pay ransom and some of, before they regain their freedom. And in this case,
abductors of students and staff of a college in Zamfara State are demanding 350 million naira as ransom. The bandits are reported to have contacted the provost of the college from which the students were abducted, Habibu Menesara, who confirms that he spoke with the victims in captivity. 50 students and 4 staff of the institution are being held after an attack on the College of Agriculture and Animal Science, Bankura, on Monday. For updates on the insecurity crisis in Zamfara and Katsina states, Arise News correspondent now gives us the report.
Student, 4 of our staff, then 1 commercial driver. 3 of our securities, 2 of our securities were killed, and 1 police officer was killed also. 3 of them were killed. That operation, the military came to the college and start shooting so that if they are responding, then they can run away.
There's need for the government, the state government, to see how it can support the collaboration of the security agencies. So see how it can put, because it's a very large area and it's situated in a very lonely area. And there's need for the presence of security agencies to be here. Not only one security, that's other, the police and the civil defense. At least the army are also there doing their own work. So we can bring them in here and see how we can form a synergy.
Now for updates on that insecurity crisis in Zamfara and Katsina states, Arise correspondent Awal Ibrahim joins us now. Awal, over to you.
Well, good morning, Mr. Ruben. The latest about the Zamfara kidnapping is that a very short video was released yesterday, which is assumed to be from the bandits, where the adopted students are now saying the bandits are threatening them. They have given them 24 hours for the ransom to be paid, which is 350 million naira, or they will kill them. The student who was speaking says they even took them to a site where they showed them bodies of other kidnapped victims that were killed because the ransom was not paid. So now this is the situation. They have made their demand, and now they are threatening to, kill these students within the next 24 hours if the ransom has not been paid. And also in Zamfara, aside from the Bakura kidnapping also, there was another kidnapping and killing in Dansado community of Maru, local government area. Then if we come back to Katsina, the whole week actually has been somehow chaotic because there has been series of killings and kidnappings. It is just as if nothing was being done before to control or curtail the situation. You remember we reported the incidents in Matazu local government area. That is the 11th local government area facing these issues of kidnapping and killings in Katsina State, where about 20 communities have been sacked. The men no longer sleep in their own houses. So the bandits are coming out to kill. So this led to the protest organized by some youth from Matazu local government and Damusa local government area. They are lamenting that much has not been done from the government. They are saying they need more deployment of security personnel. Just while those people were protesting in Matazu and Musa, then the bandits now started, adopting another style in Bazari local government area. They are now disguising as women, covering their faces in hijabs. This was what they did on Tuesday, where they kidnapped 3 people in Bazari town, the headquarters of Bazari local government area. And in same Bazari last night, around 9:30 p.m., these bandits struck again. They killed 3 people, 2 have been hospitalized, and they have gone away with more than 10. Then Jibia also has its own share. You remember Jibia sharing border with Niger Republic. So the bandits also struck in one of the communities where they killed 5 people, and they have done with about 15, most of them women and children. One unfortunate incident also that happened on Monday was a Bache battalion, or rather some soldiers from the neighboring Niger Republic, were after the bandits that went to a community in Niger and rustled some cattle and crossed over. So in the pursuit of that, they come to a community, Mazoji, in Jibia local government area, but the Nigerian, security men were being ambushed, and unfortunately, 2 Nigerian soldiers were killed, while together with a vigilante member, while those that sustained injury have been taken back, and also their armored personnel carrier was being burned down, and the bandits were said to have also escaped with the APC that was mounted on that. So this is the latest in Katsina and Zamfara as at now.
Well, but Hawa, what's your assessment of the quality of the response by the state government? Governor Matawale is quoted as having expressed concern and all of that. Now, what exactly is the government doing, particularly in terms of, one, debriefing the staff, the 2 persons? I think 2 persons managed to escape on Monday. What do we know in that regard? And what exactly is the state government doing, apart from wringing its hands in what looks like utter frustration? The same situation we have seen in.
Now, even to this question, what do you think the government can do? There is nothing I think the government can do, because if you just oppose this to what has happened in Afghanistan, it might begin to be clear. I was telling someone today, we all have these elements. We all have these elements. When we all saw it, as long as you have bandit sympathizers, Boko Haram sympathizers, ISWAP sympathizers within the community, there isn't much government can do. You always have people to shield. Even in our neck of wood, when we had this crisis, we also, when people who were meant to be unknown were on the streets doing some assault with automatic weapons. And there are in some cases where you saw, bystanders actually jubilating and congratulating them. Now, imagine in such scenario, there isn't much the authorities that are not local can do. So, to the question that Abati is asking, what the state government can do, is it not the Zamfara state government that actually told people, was it yesterday, that they should defend themselves? And I say, and I ask, with what? When people who have the means have bought something, walking sticks and granates to protect themselves, and they have been accused of being amongst those that are fomenting trouble, and these walking sticks are being taken away from them, what do you want the people to defend themselves with? Defend yourself, using a bottle of kunu to defend yourself against someone with AK-47 or 49 or 40, whatever it is. Come on. It means it points to one thing, that the system and the structure is not working. So what should be, not that it is a magic wand. Don't take that. That the moment the structure changes or the system changes, everything becomes Eldorado. No, 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 no. Unless we are living in an utopic world, that's not going to be the case. However, it might offer people that inspiration to really push maybe one more time so that things can get
Niger
off the
State,
plate.
in Katsina State, and elsewhere.
Well, actually, it's only when these things happen that's when the lamentations will be coming from the chief security officers of the state. The locals are saying much has not been done. Most of them are saying,
You see, Olatunji Awofose is saying the following. Sir, what can the state do? Power is being controlled from the center by the Fulani minority government. The Fulani government are charged of the security defense. Not entirely true. Not the statement is not entirely true, but you see, when it comes to crime and the punishment of crime, when that is ethnicized entirely, then we have a long shot to finding solution. When you talk about the North, many of my friends, brothers, you watching me now from the southern part of Nigeria, we have these sometimes maybe warped idea that the North is actually enjoying. When I say the North, I'm not talking about the oligarchs. I'm not talking about the connected, those that have what's it called, oil wells, those that suck us every night, every day, and extract what we have. No, I mean the average person like you and I now watching. Do they really enjoy? I beg to disagree. No, they don't. It is, and that's what I want us to understand. It is a class thing. They against us, irrespective of any region, irrespective of any religion, they against us. They have and they have not. That's it's a very simple theory that has actually explained this. So, when you talk about it this way, it looks okay. You talk about Fulani and you talk about Zamfara, you talk about Castina. How do you? Is there anything? Is there any difference between six and half a dozen? If these people are being kidnapped, it's the same people. If these people in the other side are being kidnapped, the bottom line is the government lacks the capacity to punish perpetrators of crime. If we begin to punish perpetrators of crime, you kidnap somebody, it doesn't matter if you're from Bonu, it doesn't matter from Anambra, from Ogun, from Oshogbo, from Benue, from Adamawa, from Castina, from Honolulu. It doesn't matter from where, but that individual must be punished severely. We wouldn't probably be here. We wouldn't. I believe honestly that we would not be in this mess. Because this mess, in my estimation, look at it. These are people's children just being kidnapped, and 350,000 is being demanded. Ask yourself, how are the people going to get this 350,000?
Family members pay ransom. So more needs to be done. So the question people are asking 2 years back, there were a special tactical this department launched by the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. They call them Agro Rangers. But up to now, we are yet to hear talkless of seeing where these Agro Rangers are performing, either in Katsina or in Zamfara or in any state in the northwestern part of the country. So the people are saying more security needs to be deployed for them to be able to settle in their respective communities.
Honestly, I do understand when some of us, begin to query why some of the northern states don't form things like Amotekun, Ebubago, or ESN or whatever to defend themselves. You see, the thing is, you need always to have the legitimacy of the state when it comes to the power of coercion. You need always to seek for the legitimate power of the state. In some cities in northern Nigeria, like Kano, I think they have is it hijab or whatever it's called, the Islamic police. Now, in some states in the northeast, where you have the Boko Haram rampaging the whole place, they have things like civilian JTF. They do carry gun, and they have helped, in areas where they can. So when you understand these things, understand that yes, these things are there. There is something they are doing, but there is limitations to what they can do. It's that simple. There is limitations. When you talk about Amotekun, when you talk about Ebubago, when you talk about Anambra Vigilante Services or OPC, all these things are mushroom organizations that ought not to have been the case had we had people who are deep thinkers, or let me not use that. Maybe we have them, but we do not have people who have the political will to implement. Because let's take, for instance, the moment you have police states, that every state should be able to police and man their borders and deal with their affairs, that is a panacea for immediate stoppage of most of the nonsense. Then people will deal with them state by state. But ask yourself in all these things, in the whole of northern Nigeria being ravaged by so many insecurity, why is Kano still safe? Have you heard about this manner of kidnap in Kano? Have you heard of bandit overrunning Kano? Have you heard of Boko Haram incursion in Kano? You think it's just because they don't like Kano? No, because there is something happening in Kano that not many people are aware of. I might make joke of Ganduje as Gandola, you might criticize, you might like him or not, but they say seeing is believing. I would wish that other northern governors would go to Kano and understudy whatever it is that he is doing as regards to the security of his state. He appears to be doing something and getting something right that other northern governors are not doing. Think about it. In all this kidnapping, you hear Kaduna, Kaduna every time, Kaduna. Now they are closing school. Kaduna, university, they go, you hear they kidnap so many people. The other one, they kidnap the other people. Why not in Kano? This is a state that borders many of these troubled areas, yet he's able to control even the borders of what comes in. How is he able to do that? That's, my people, is a question for the northern governors to go find a solution to and ask deep questions to themselves as to what is happening in Kanu and how they can key in into what into what is being done there. So at the end of the day, it hasn't happened. Hishpa, Sharia police or whatever. But whoa, those ones can't fight Boko Haram. Those ones are good at trying to ban mannequins or those ones are good for being used to you know throw away beer being sold at certain areas. eh? But the only thing that baffles me and the only thing that worries me that's going to lead us to the next line of conversation is actually what is happening in Nigeria once more, vis-a-vis the things that has happened in the last couple of days with Taliban, and that, my people, any of us. So let's play this.
Said that Nigeria should not, under no circumstances, recognize the Taliban.
In the last, I think that was a day, or either yesterday or so, the former presidential aspirant, Professor Kinsley Moghalu, made a statement warning Nigeria not to recognize Taliban government. Yes, I would agree with Professor Moghalu actually. If at all, not at this stage, until they bring out the leg with which they want to dance, so that the world will first see.
Really, what position do you think the Nigerian government should take now? And do you even trust this Taliban government when it says, that it seeks for peaceful relations with other countries? Of course, China, Russia, and Iran have already made diplomatic overtures. What are your thoughts?
Thank you, Ngozi, and indeed, good evening. First off, the Nigerian president has released a statement, even though not directly on the Afghan issue.
Even though not directly. Question is, why wouldn't he release a statement directly?
But his letter was published yesterday on the Financial Times, where he referred to developments in Afghanistan. And in that letter,
who wrote that letter?
He indicated his concerns regarding the developments there and what impact it could have on the African continent, especially in the Sahel. In particular, he made reference to the presence of international or foreign troops in other countries, including Afghanistan, and how, in his own conclusion, that's not what countries that are battled by terrorism need. He made reference to issues around economic development and the other soft component of the counter-terrorism strategy. Now, that is sort of the standpoint that I would like to start from. Kingsley Moghalu's statement, I think for now, it has no sort of relevance in terms of what the current government appears to be.
The current government appears to be doing what? Appears to be doing? You think it has no correlation? You think it has no relevance? For real?
Thinking based on that letter by President Buhari, if we're going to base our conclusion on the fact that Russia and China have already recognized the Taliban, then perhaps they are in the process of getting international recognition. And I think Nigeria, the regional superpower, should perhaps lead a discussion with other African countries so that a united statement that will be supportive of the stance of both the sub-region, ECOWAS, and then the continent should be one that should be portrayed. Despite the fact that we do have our bilateral relationships and interests with our country, I think a regional and perhaps even a continental sort of position would be more useful for Nigeria at the moment.
Kabir, still on Mogalo.
Well, again, when you now put this side by side as to, first of all, I mean, the advice by Mogalo that they should not be recognized. You put it side by side, and people begin to think: is it possible to somewhat see, somehow, by any stretch of imagination? I know many people have actually disagreed that something like that is very unlikely to happen in Nigeria. But the question remains: by any stretch of imagination, do you think, if care is not taken, that something like this? I do not know. I mean, it's just that it must concern and it must worry any human that lives within this space and entity, based on things we have seen, based on things we have seen. This is not just mere emotion.
Inside a U.S. plane as it rolls down the runway, with some even clinging to the side of it. Now, in other footages, we see civilians frantically just clamber up an already overcrowded, buckling set of air stairs. And, this is just this is an incredibly sad sight. It's terrifying to look at. And to think that the 20th anniversary of 9/11 is coming in on the back of this, it's just very, very sad. I mean, the fundamentalist group wishes, basically, that's the Taliban, they wish to restore Sharia to Afghanistan. And then those unable to leave the country will have to adapt to a way of life they have not seen in 2 decades. And when they last ruled Afghanistan from 1996 to 2011, it was terrible. Women could not work. Girls were not allowed to attend schools. Women had to cover their face and be accompanied by a male relative if they wanted to venture out of their homes. Otherwise, they risk being beaten or flogged or stoned. Music, TV, cinemas, all of these were banned. I mean, it was looking to end mixed gender education, return to Islamic law. And to be honest, looking at the events that have happened, especially with people like Malala Yousafzai, who've been very, very vocal about how she wants education and, the girl-child rights to return to Afghanistan, this is 102 plus steps back. It's really scary.
What it is, it's very sad. You talked about Malala Yousafzai, who was shot for wanting an education. And
honestly, somewhat, in as much as I do understand the sentiment being expressed here, but somewhat I would tend to agree with President Joe Biden, because at the end of the day, it's just like juxtapose that with northern Nigeria. The South has been shouting, "Stop the issue of Amajiri, stop it, stop impregnating young girls, women, that you stop giving birth to children that you have no plans in this planet Earth to bear." But because you're looking at, the North is larger, you need to have a standby army where election comes in, the result from Kanu comes in, it nullifies whatever others have voted for. Maybe that is your point, that you want to keep this happening. Now, if the people are incapable after so many years of to govern themselves, why would America leave any soldier to die in Afghanistan? Then you ask the same question, bring it back home here in Nigeria. Someone would now be forced to say, well, if part of us are unable and incapable to govern themselves, tough on them. If someone wants to have 15 children and, and don't have any idea, and once the woman gets old, yank her off, go get another young girl and marry, and by the time the man turns 70 something, 80 something, he has had a round of 4 to 8 women already married, and probably with the register, or if he ever remembers all their names, with a register of 30 to 35, 40 children, and we think that is achievement without any iota of thinking what the future holds for these children. Who do we then blame? Do we blame those that have come to help and think they've spent all these resources and nothing is happening? Oh, we blame, even now, still blame the British this, British that. Even after 60 something years, or if you just oppose when the amalgamation, even after 100 and something years, and we cannot make decision and stand by it on our own, and we still blame someone, yes, that has messed us up before. Isn't it enough time that we actually take those decisions on our own and start by
Warren Buffett, great sage of Omaha, Nebraska, the sage of Nebraska. Warren Buffett will always say this. He says, if you're watching a game of poker, for the first 20 minutes and you don't know who the patsy is in the game of poker, and the patsy is the person that is losing, then you are the patsy yourself.
Okay, so you see, that is it. If you're watching a game of poker and you do not know who the party is, that is there for you to, obviously fill in the gap. That's the way, honestly, that's the way I feel. Now, to start rounding up, I would now, hold on. Sorry. There is one more clip that I wanted to show us. I can't seem to find it now, but that's fine. Now let me quickly round up with this: the following. You have President Biden obviously explaining this. Let's watch this clip with an open mind. And I think after watching this, I started thinking to myself, well, if I understand the Americans have made, serious error. I understand that the Americans have made serious error in Afghanistan. But when you actually begin to see this from this light, that you trained 300,000, 300,000 army. You gave them one of the best equipment in the world to defend themselves, to do whatever for themselves. Then a ragtag army that is less than 75,000 runs across, and you leave them with all these ammunition and all these equipment. Then the joke is on them. If they don't want to protect themselves, you go kill yourself. Listen to Joe Biden.
The deal that President Trump negotiated with.
Sorry, let me start again.
When I came into office, I inherited a deal that President Trump negotiated with the Taliban. Under his agreement, U.S. forces would be out of Afghanistan by May 1, 2021. U.S. forces had already drawn down during the Trump administration from roughly 15,500 American forces to 2,500 troops in country. The truth is, this did unfold more quickly than we had anticipated. So what's happened? Afghanistan political leaders gave.
You see, one thing that Nigerian leaders and leaders in general must do to always accept responsibility where they fail. Here is a collective, for Americans, saying the anticipation wasn't, they never anticipated that in their widest imagination, that once the minute American troop that is in Afghanistan pulls out, that the whole place is going to fall. They didn't envisage that. They didn't see that. They did not see that coming. But obviously, it did happen. That the moment they fell, they pulled out, the whole thing collapsed. And he said it here. Listen again.
This did unfold more quickly than we had anticipated. So what's happened? Afghanistan political leaders gave up and fled the country. The Afghan military collapsed, sometime without trying to fight.
Did you hear that? The Afghan military collapsed sometimes without trying to fight. Think of the news you have heard about the Nigerian army and what happens in the northeast. We had it on record, we had it in video, where someone said that they, what's it called? There is this, I can't remember his name, something, I think some, Jack, is it not Jack Boer, this South African mercenary, when he said that when Buhari took over, that they were about finishing the last push to Boko Haram and they were told to stand down. If the Nigerian army cannot give this final push, what is stopping them? If you then think deep, understand what this man is saying. Why must Americans lose their lives in Afghanistan if the people of Afghanistan is unwilling to contribute anything to staying alive? So why? Why is it? And that will tell each and every one of us, will teach us a lesson. So why would we be waiting for someone to come in from America? Yeah, UK do this, UK must do that. Why would you be waiting on UK, on the XYZ to come in and help you, whereas the basic thing, knowing that no one is going to come for you and for you to help you, you are the one to help yourself. Afghanistan, a case in point. All the help rendered. If the people, you can take a horse to the water, you can't force that to the stream, you can't force that horse to drink. You can't. If you make the mistake of going towards the back, they can be very fast. They kick you.
Collapsed sometime without trying to fight. American troops cannot and should not be fighting in a war and dying in a war that Afghan forces are not willing to fight for themselves.
Exactly. Why would Americans die in a war that Afghans cannot even willing to fight? Why? So the same thing. Honestly, it's one of those areas that I'm actually struggling to blame America now. But I do blame America actually for their involvement ab initio. Because I mean the Taliban that we talk about is a creation of America. You know, you're playing the Cold War game. You want to get the Chinese, or rather, sorry, the Russians out of that place. You need to create this until September 11, 2001. They brought that the chicken eventually came back home in your country to fry himself, not even roasting, but to fry himself. And also, perfectly so, they reacted. But in that reaction, it has lasted 11 years to a point until Donald Trump said, okay, we go start wind down. And sadly, Donald Trump has pulled most of the American troops out of Afghanistan. And he came in, he said, okay, this is a plan. Let's wind it down because now why should we spend this money? And all this money, $1 trillion, over $1 trillion, not naira, not pound, $1 trillion they spent in Afghanistan. Taxpayers' money, debt in America everywhere, flushed down the toilet, just like that.
Should not be fighting in a war and dying in a war that Afghan forces are not willing to fight for themselves. We spent over $1 trillion. We trained and equipped an Afghan military force of some 300,000 strong, incredibly well equipped. We gave them every tool they could need. We paid their salaries. We provided close air support. We gave them every chance to determine their own future. What we could not provide them was the will to fight for that future.
Now, that's the thing. If they are not willing to fight for their future, you see, I have my friend whom most times we argue. When we had NSARS, no, before NSARS, we always had an argument when I think Kadira the lady is she from Zamfara or whatever, that once demonstrated. And I told this young man, I said, well, I will support you with my resources as well, as long as you people are going to mobilize people to, I don't bloody care what it is, but as long as it's against insecurity, injustice happening to you in northern Nigeria, we will help you. Let you vent your anger. But I don't know what happened. It appears they discussed it, and suddenly the conversation, the feedback he gave me was, oh yeah, they think the South is trying to cause trouble in the North. I'm like, are you for real? Is it my siblings being kidnapped right, left, and center? You can't even go to your village. There was a time, even here in the South, that we had that. In the Southeast, to be precise, there was a time kidnapping was order of the day. Many of you who are from Aba will still remember the case of Osisi Kanku under TO until he made the mistake of his life to touch children going to school in a school bus, kidnap them. After that incident, he never survived it because he touched the lion tail. Now I ask my brethren in the north, not saying that south is safe haven, but it is, because many of those that we have in our houses, in our ancestral homes, are people of Middle Belt who have just basically taken refuge in the South. That doesn't also mean that we do not have our siblings who are residents in the North doing their businesses legitimately. But the point here is that, like the Afghanistan, if the people cannot fight for themselves, there is little or no help you can render. The people must resolve to say, these are principles we stand for, and these are principles we must fight for. If that is not done, you can do whatever you want, even give people to come and protest. People will want you to give them money to come and protest. Are they protesting for your own good? For their own good. For their own good. Where you know what you want, you have to. Today, somebody reminded me, hey man, next week is going to be, no, sorry, in 2 days' time, it's going to be 1 year. You've been campaigning and you've been wasting your time for Enugu Airport. I said, well, you call it waste of time? I don't. It's because it's something I believed in. I campaigned it without complaining for 2 good years. Yes, the airport eventually is here. So the thing is, people, I'm going to leave us with the following, that as a people, no matter the support you think we may get from someone, an outsider, if you do not have that will to push beyond the normal boundaries, you're going to get stuck wherever you are. Because at the end of the day, look at it. America spent 1 trillion. America gave them the best. I don't know because it has to do with ammunition. I wouldn't show them, but there is another video where you see stack of ammunition, many of them unused, and these are people telling you Western education is wrong, but Western gun is accepted. What manner of warp thinkers are these guys? Oh, children, they wouldn't go to school because they are girls. Fine and good. But you take injections. They took COVID injections. See them. What manner of thinking? Oh, a woman cannot drive because it vibrates. And if it vibrates, she has orgasm. What manner of warp thinkers? Yet, the same man does funny things. Funny things. Honestly, the same man does funny things. The same man tells you that Allah says A, B, C, yet he jubilates on the sight of well polished gun hung in various police stations and still in their boxes. And you look at that and you ask yourself, what manner of individuals are this? That which we have up there, we also have them down here. In some certain part of my neck of wood, it has now become a tragedy and a sick sight to behold that humans now cut each other's neck to settle scores. Communities know who are behind it. For fear they won't say anything. Yet kettle appears to be calling pot black, is it? Oh, my neck of wood is good. But there are abnormal things happening. No one wants to speak. Everyone is afraid. But someone has to speak. All these nonsense, be it in the north, Afghanistan, down here in the east, anywhere it is. Why don't we begin to apply our common sense and begin to get a grip of what is happening to ourselves and take decision to liberate ourselves? Yes, people like me campaign, I believe in it, that we should seek how we want to govern ourselves. First of all, doing that through a referendum. If we do, to say we want to remain one, if we have to remain one, how? Under what conditions? If the people decide we don't want to remain one, we want the authentic Israel, so be it. I have no problem with that. But in all this, we must begin to ask questions. How do we want to resolve this quagmire? Because we have a problem. We have a problem. It is worrying, people. When I say it, I mean it. It is worrying. When you obviously look and begin to see that there are some striking resemblance. There is this video I wanted to see where you will read, like in some states, they were told not to what's it called, mannequin, these body like thing they use in dressing clothing, that they've been told they should not use them. They should not use the ones that are, how do I put it, they shouldn't use the ones that are that has got head. They should only use the headless one. So which manner of rubbish is that? In a country where you're supposed to be free to make a choice, and someone is telling you you shouldn't use a mannequin that is that's got head because, oh, it offends my God. Wow. I say again, it is time these gods start fighting for themselves. It is time they start fighting for themselves. Whether they are God or whether they are prophets, it is time they go to work and start fighting for themselves. All these their intimidation, enough of the rubbish. Let the gods start fighting for themselves. I know those of you, Mekuna no can kill me, but I say it as it is. At the end of the day, waiting do me. If not, I will be happiness more. I'll be happiness more if if things begin to change, that we begin to see where things are not
Our
very
economic
blink.
is doing like this. It's doing like this. It's blinking, blinking, shaking.
So if our economy is not blinking,
Our economic is doing like this. It's doing like this. It's blinking, blinking, shaking.
So if our economy is not blinking, shaking, I would have loved it. But at the end of the day, who would I ask? Anyone I ask, they're probably going to lie to me. So what do I do?
When my 7-year-old grandson called me and said, "Grandpa, tell me the truth. Why did they call you Liar Mohammed?"
You can see it. They've actually lied to me. Where would I go? If I go to the church will tell me that Jesus said this and Jesus said the other one. Even one of them will say that God told him to write a letter to the parties, that the parties would actually hand him the presidential ticket.
I am fully persuaded that Nigeria needs a man, get ready to go to page 3. Nigeria needs a man who is credible, dependable, and trustworthy. A God-fearing man who is embroidered with compassion and love for country. A few days ago, the Lord asked me to write a letter to the chairman of the PDP and the chairman of the APC, asking them not to field any presidential candidates.
Chai. Now, this is what he told us. Asking that God told him this, that he should write a letter. But at the end of the day, let me ask Mr. President, Oga, what do you
think? The government has failed to do its principal duty of protecting life or property of all beings inside its territory in Nigeria.
So the president said that the government has failed in the basic duties of protecting lives and properties. This is the fundamental duty of government. But according to the president, he said they have failed. And if they have failed, what then happens? Even those we have in the National Assembly, they are all going there crying like babies, saying this insecurity.
Whatever is our position, we have a chapter. We cannot keep quiet any longer. It has gotten to a point that we cannot sleep with our two eyes closed. We are not free. Our children are not free. The president must rise to the occasion. There's no nation that is so powerful that doesn't need support of other nations.
So I don't know how you want him to rise on the occasion. Maybe Tinubu will borrow him the walking stick so that he can help and rise up. But how else he wants the president to rise up, bothers me. Where is it that we have it good? Is it in the joblessness? If I bring back my good friend Alaji Kazaure to say, Alaji Kazaure, when it comes to job, what do you say?
Somebody will suffer from primary, secondary to the tertiary education, coming out, having no job to do. And now, 3 million people apply in only 10,000. And now, budget office, they plan to reduce it to 5,000.
So, if a budget office is a plan to reduce it, what happens? Okay. At the end of the day, we can say, well, what do? We go back to another election. And we can vote. And after we vote, we will be happiness more. What do you want me to do? Are you not?
All right. Have you voted?
I'm voted, yeah.
Okay, so
I'm happiness, I'm voted, yeah.
Tell me your feeling after voting today.
Yeah, after voting, I'm feeling okay. What I want, I get it on the result. I'm getting the party I want is the one going on. Thank you for that.
What are you?
So, I don't know if the party you want is going on. The party I want is not going on. The party I want, the music I want is not even going on. I want to dance Chakademus and Playa, but what they are playing, they're playing Ogene music. They are not to the same dance step. While in Lagos then, we used to listen to Fuji and Yoruba music. You go here, ding 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 ding. They talk, oh, my head is no correct, oh. So people will be dancing. Man, this is it. At the end of the day, something is wrong. Something is not working. We must, like Joe Biden said, I keep repeating it. If the people are not ready to fight and sustain their own fight, no allow them, according to Asari Dokubawati, how they take talker. Now allow them make they leave you. I've been waiting. Don't allow others to break coconut on your head. Let them use their own head to break their own coconut. So everyone, once more I say, for many of you joining me, I am still Mazes. Okay, please, as much as possible, kindly subscribe to this channel, share this stream. It's been a pleasure having you. Thank you very much once more. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night. depending on which time zone you are. Again, I still need many of you to confirm if you've received your own dotted t-shirt. Some of you in the United Kingdom, many of you, I think about 5 of you, it's been sent to you. If you can confirm that you've received it, I think Laura Quinn. Can I confirm if you received it? Well, as it is now, we can all disappear like Willy Willy. You know, as I am now, I want to disappear like Willy Willy, because it is when the people rise up, then people will
on the
disappear.
hour from Niger Delta Broadcasting Service. My name is Andrew Uweri Okere Ajapasa. Yesterday, some angry Warri Jaguda boys carried dangerous weapons like a cutlass, iron pole. I went down to the Borikoko oil facility. When they reached there, the security people vanished into the bush like Willy Willy.
On that note, Mazes will be vanishing
like Willy. I am going to vanish like Willy.
I represent and symbolize all the characteristics of a typical Igbo man. Yes, I've learned to be more Igbotic than I ever expected. As an Igbo man, I've perfected the act of being tenacious in any dream that I chase. To be industrious, be consistent, and powerfully focused. All the lessons I learned from the brothers in the tribe have made me dogged, hardworking, and exhibiting the ability and the capacity to survive in any kind of way.